We have some big things to talk about. So the market got destroyed this morning at market open, and there was a ton of selling pressure. But then the next thing we know, the stock market completely reversed and is almost closed green. In this video, we have some really big news to talk about related to Amazon Prime Day, bank earnings, and just the market overall. So Tom, we have to start out with Amazon. Amazon finished today slightly green as they had their biggest Prime Day ever. Amazon shoppers bought more than 300 million items during this year's Prime Day. As we can see in the article, in last year's Prime Day, it was only 250 million items. So that's a gigantic increase. And this is pretty important in my opinion. Even though Amazon didn't necessarily disclose their sales from this two-day event, what's very important is that over the past couple of weeks and especially the past couple of months, there have been a ton of fears about a possible recession, the effects of inflation and rising interest rates, and how all of this is impacting consumers. At the end of the day, in my opinion, if consumers were really being hit hard right now, we would not be seeing such a successful Amazon Prime Day like we're seeing. So that's just one interesting thing that I noticed. You know, I feel like consumers aren't doing too bad considering this data that we're seeing from Amazon.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, Mike. You know, like you said, they're selling 300 million items during the biggest Prime Day event ever. That is a lot, up 50 million items from last year. I mean, that is a stark contrast. And as we know, last year in 2021, we even had economic stimulus payments and stuff like that coming through. So I would think that the consumers are doing quite well right now, Mike. And I know that there's been some statements by big bank people, kind of like JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. He's also said consumers are actually in pretty good shape right now. So overall, it seems like, I guess, consumers are doing better than people think. But nonetheless, though, obviously inflation still hurts people. So we do understand that, guys. We're not trying to say that, you know, everything is sunshine and rainbows right now. But nonetheless, though, Amazon had a pretty good day and their stock's looking quite well here today. Like you said, Mike, recovered up pretty much all day long. And really, the overall market recovered up like that, too.
Yes, very true. So we can see that Amazon rose by around 0.2% today, and on average, it normally rises by 1.58%, which is interesting. Tom, are you seeing Amazon bouncing off of any support levels or anything notable with Amazon stock? And guys, remember, Amazon is now a $110 stock because they split just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you're right. That low price definitely makes it more enticing to pick up here, but there has been a lot of support bounces lately. So there was a pretty big support down here around 106, and we actually touched that yesterday in pre-market or right around market open. And then pretty much we've been going up ever since then. So that 106 support bounce seems to be playing out very well. Today, we even stayed up above that and bounced off of 108. So definitely be prepared for that tomorrow with Amazon. I'm definitely going to watch for a breakout though, Mike. We're heading up towards that resistance right up around 112. If we can break that tomorrow, I think we could have a pretty good run to the upside. And I will say with the good news with Prime Day, I would think that there's a good chance Amazon could have a pretty good move tomorrow, especially maybe early on. As we know, sometimes these stocks start to run it open quite a bit.
There we go. Tom, we cannot forget about Pinterest stock, which is exploding out of nowhere in after hours. What is going on with this one?
Guys, this stock is straight up exploding. The news actually just came out, and look at the explosive movement. The stock ran all the way up to $23, and it looks like a high right around $23.80 or $23.82. But Mike, this is huge. So activist investor Elliott built a stake of over 9% in Pinterest, the Wall Street Journal reported today. And shares of Pinterest, they're saying they pretty much soared 24%. But Mike, that is a huge move out of Pinterest here. I know that we've been hearing news about Pinterest potentially getting bought out by a few other companies earlier in the year. There was some pretty big rumors going around. So it's pretty cool to see that Elliott's taking this stake in them. And hey, the stock's up 24%. So keep it on the radar for tomorrow. We might see this one start to break out a little bit more.
Yeah, this news is pretty big. Pinterest has all-time highs of just under $90 a share. Today, they closed at around $17.50 per share, and now they're just under like $21 per share in after hours. What's cool about Pinterest is they're moderately correlated to the SPY, as we can see in the bottom right, which means like sometimes it moves with the market, sometimes it doesn't. So it's kind of nice to have that type of stock in this market where, the S&P 500 is just all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. And we can kind of see there's a huge support down there, Mike. Like it pretty much triple bottom down here, like right around $17 or $17.50. So pretty big to see them bouncing up. Honestly, Mike, before this news came out, Pinterest stock was looking pretty brutal today. It was almost extending down to lows. So I'm glad that this happened for them. And who knows, maybe this will also help some other growth stocks maybe get some good momentum in the morning. I don't really expect it to bleed over too much, but hey, if it sets the table green, I'll take it.
You know it. And then we can't forget about the Pelosi's new trade. So Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi have a suspiciously amazing trading history, and they're betting big on NVIDIA. So fill us in, Tom.
Yeah, this is huge. So Paul Pelosi, Mike, he let 200, or he pretty much exercised 200 call options today on NVIDIA, or I shouldn't say today, but this is when the filing came out, and they ended up getting 20,000 shares of NVIDIA worth between $1 million and $5 million. And they also sold some Apple and sold some Visa. But when they sold Visa, Mike, this Visa news is almost more interesting than the NVIDIA news, to be honest. So if we go look at the Visa news, you can see right here, she made these trades, but pretty much they had a profit on Visa of $1.8 million, Mike. That is a lot of money. Now, keep in mind, this is over a long time, but they've been in ever since Visa IPO'd. It looks like they got 5,000 shares at the IPO price, and they had a 4-for-1 stock split go on, bringing their cost basis down to $11 each. But yeah, like you said, Mike, they have a really good trading history. They just closed a Visa trade up around 1.8 million on it. So that's huge. And now they're getting 20,000 shares of NVIDIA. That is a huge bet on a huge tech company.
20,000 shares, Tom. How is NVIDIA's stock looking? Like, I know it's been really rough for NVIDIA over the past year, but to be fair, it's been that way for many stocks this year. NVIDIA has highs of just around $350 a share, and right now it's lingering right around like 153 to 154. So what are you seeing in terms of price action?
Yeah, the price action's looking pretty good here. Actually, they just bounced off of a recent support right around 140. I actually just threw the line here on the chart at the bottom. Yeah, you can see that that's a pretty big support. Honestly, there's been a bunch of areas of support down there around 140, but yeah, it looks like it is starting to come back up a little bit now. Honestly, it seems like there's a pretty big, I guess, like bottom forming, Mike. We do still need some more upwards movement, though. We're still pretty close to that low, but you're right. It's been getting beaten down the past year. But whenever we go out on like a 5-year basis, it looks amazing. So I think it's a pretty good pickup by them. And, I'll be honest, Mike, I don't think NVIDIA is going anywhere anytime soon. And obviously we have to buy it at the right price. But this is one company that I think will flourish in the future, especially with their AI advancements.
Yep. All right. There we go. So, Tom, there was some other news with bank stocks today as JP Morgan reported earnings. It's a big week for bank earnings in general as we have multiple multi-billion-dollar corporations reporting. JP Morgan, being one of the biggest banks, didn't do too well on earnings. So the stock's down around 3.5% today. What's happening?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I will say they talked about a lot of stuff today, or the CEO Jamie Dimon did nonetheless, but their stock was down a lot. They actually came in pretty much under that estimate by $1 billion on their revenue, which is not good. You can see that stock really gapped down, sent a lot of other banks down like Goldman, Bank of America, and other stocks like that. Talking about some of these stocks, Citi and Wells Fargo are actually going to be reporting earnings tomorrow morning. So keep those on the radar as well. But getting back into the news with JP Morgan, Mike, they reported those earnings. Obviously, it was not good. They also had a stress test, which Jamie Dimon came out and pretty much said it's a terrible way to run the financial system. As we know, they implemented these stress tests after the 2008 financial crisis. And the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, is not happy with these. He says that they're too volatile and they cause a lot of issues with banks in the shorter term. So that's not good. But those earnings were also not good, Mike. They said that they're going to temporarily halt their share repurchasing program. And as we know, those share buybacks have been huge for stocks over the past few years. So with them halting that, it's definitely not good news for the stock, which is why it really gapped down. And in my opinion, that's the main reason why it was down today, Mike. But like he says here, geopolitical tensions, high inflation, and waning consumer confidence can hurt the economy sometime down the road. And we're kind of starting to see that now.
No doubt. And I think this news is not getting as much attention as it should. So, stopping their share buyback program is a pretty big deal. For those of you who don't know, almost all of the top companies in the market repurchase their shares, or at least a lot of like the bigger ones do. And it puts a lot of upwards pressure, not only on the stock price, but also it helps like the financial ratios behind the company. So by stopping these share repurchases, it'll definitely hurt their stock at least a little bit, fundamentally, and just in terms of like price action in general. So keep an eye on these bank stocks. They are also pretty influential on just like the S&P 500 overall.
Yeah, they are. And with them gapping down today, it kind of set a bad tone for the market early on. We saw the SPY gapping down early in the morning. While we did recover, it ended up being an okay day. But yeah, the banks definitely set the tone bad there, Mike. And we can see that JP Morgan actually had a big gap down. They're down to new yearly lows here. So we have to keep our eyes on them. Actually, looking at the chart, Mike, we're kind of filling this gap from back here in last November. So kind of interesting. I know a lot of technical traders always like to look for those gap fills, and we've almost filled this one now.
Alrighty, there we go. So guys, if you like our style of videos, make sure to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, and if you have any questions, just let us know in the comments down below, but make sure to subscribe. And Tom, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Intel to the upside.
Yeah, Intel, thank God this one's going up today. Go ahead and make them break out above $38.15.
All right, there we go. With the next one, we have DAL, also to the upside.
Yeah, Delta Airlines. Go ahead and make them break above $30.40. I'll actually highlight that in blue there for you guys.
Awesome, perfect. And then with the last one, we have Palantir, but to the downside.
Yeah, PLT. Wow, Mike, they were down a lot today. Actually, yeah, go ahead and make them break down below $8.85. That's actually a pretty big level of support there.
No doubt. And we can see like their average fall is only around like 3.16%. Today it was down around 4.1%. So definitely a bigger than average drop. And what's interesting is that it has had a almost like a 52% chance of closing red over the past year, which is also, just interesting. So we are watching Palantir for a potential day trade to the downside tomorrow, only if it breaks below the level Tom listed. And then we are watching Intel and Delta Airlines for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. And then before we move on, I want to give a giant shout out to our member of the day, Jesus M on YouTube. Thank you so much for all of the support. Tom and I really appreciate you. And Jesus was asking for some levels with Tesla, Tom. So what levels are you seeing for Tesla for like day trading?
Yeah, so for day trading with Tesla, they actually had a pretty good day today, and they've been kind of going up ever since Elon Musk scrapped that Twitter deal. I know that whenever he announced that deal was going to be, scrapped earlier in the week, we saw Twitter or Tesla, I should say, pop up a little bit more. So as far as Tesla goes tomorrow, they definitely consolidated today around a pretty big area of resistance right at market close, around 715. I'm definitely going to watch for a breakout with this tomorrow. I'm going to highlight this. Yeah, you can see that's been a pretty big area of resistance. Then up above that, Mike, I'm going to watch for another area of resistance up around 724. I think 724 is even a bigger level than down here around 715. So if we break out tomorrow above 715, watch for that upper resistance of 724. If we do fall off to the downside, though, Mike, there's some pretty big support down there at 704. If we break below that, then I'll be looking for some more downward selling pressure.
Sounds great. And then, Tom, do you have any levels or anything for the SPY too? I know a lot of people watch that one.
Yeah, 100%. So the SPY is actually looking pretty good here. I've had a level on my chart for a while down here on the SPY at right around 373. This morning, we fell down below that, but then came right back up. I was pretty happy to see the SPY close higher today. It was pretty nice. We almost got back in the green, but we closed in the red barely, but I'll take it with that gap down we had. With the SPY, we consolidated right at a big resistance at 378.50. You can see yesterday, intraday, there was a few bounces right there. And of course, that's where we ended up consolidating today. So watch right there for a breakout tomorrow. If we end up breaking that to the upside, I'll be looking for another move up towards the 380 resistance. 380, Mike, has been huge over the past few weeks. So maybe we can see a nice like couple point move up to that. If we do fall down, SPY has a big support down there around 376 and then 375 below that. But I know 376 has been another big level over the past few weeks along with 380.
Sounds good. And then do you have any favorite setups heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, a lot of stocks went up, Mike. I will say for a day where stocks started gapping down, we did see some big movers. DWAC is a stock that I've really been keeping on the radar ever since Elon Musk talked about scrapping the Twitter deal. DWAC has been kind of moving back to the upside a little bit more. For everybody who doesn't know, they did the SPAC deal with Truth Social. So that's pretty much what this stock is. Truth Social is the platform that Trump is actually on now. He's not actually associated with it anymore as of a couple weeks ago, but obviously he's still big on the platform. So keep in mind, DWAC might be a pretty big mover. And then, Mike, I also noticed today that a lot of these, I guess you could say, retailers did pretty well. Like, look at Costco. It was actually breaking out in a huge way. We saw Walmart moving up. Even Boeing and some of those airlines were doing decent.
Alrighty, there we go. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you liked it. And besides that, let's have an amazing end to the week.